There is one rank in the Freemasons you are not allowed to earn. You can climb 32 degrees. You cannot climb to the 33rd. It can only be given to you, and almost no one ever gets it. To understand why, you start where every Mason starts, blindfolded, in the dark. You can't see. Cloth bound tight across your eyes, somewhere cold, stone, and you can feel other men in the room without seeing one of them. Your shirt is open, your chest bare. There's a rope around your neck. Then a hand steers you forward, and something stops you. A point, pressed against your bare chest, right over the heart. Not hard enough to break skin, hard enough that you stop breathing. A voice close to your ear. Do you feel anything? You do. That is the point of a compass. As it pricks your flesh now, so may the memory prick your conscience, should you ever betray what you're about to learn. Then a different voice from across the room. It asks the only question that matters. Whom have you here? And someone answers for you, because right now, you can't answer for yourself. A poor candidate in a state of darkness, who comes of his own free will and accord. Of your own free will. Remember that, because everything about to happen to you rests on it. The rope at your neck has a name, the cable tow. You were let in half-dressed and defenseless, blindfolded, a blade at your chest, and you agreed to all of it. You walked in here, nobody dragged you. The blindfold is called a hoodwink. The room is a Masonic lodge. And you're about to become an entered apprentice, the first of 3 degrees that built a secret kings, presidents, and your own neighbors have sworn to keep. For 300 years, people have stared at that locked door and filled the silence with monsters. A world-running cabal, a satanic cult, the hidden hand behind every war and every dollar. Here's what nobody tells you. The truth behind that door is stranger than the myth, not because it's darker, but because it's real. This is how the Freemasons actually work. Every degree explained. Level 1, the entered apprentice. Let's rewind 30 seconds, because you skipped the part where you knocked. Before the blindfold, before the rope, you stood outside that door and you had to ask to come in. Not metaphorically, literally. A knock, a challenge, a demand to know who approaches and by what right. But here's the first secret almost nobody knows. You cannot be recruited. A Freemason is forbidden to ask you to join. You have to ask them. The most powerful fraternity in the world does not chase a single member. So you ask. You submit a petition, and a member has to vouch for you. The lodge investigates you, your character, your reputation, the people who know you, and then they vote. In secret, with a box of white balls and black balls. And here's the rule that runs the whole institution. It only takes one. A single black ball, one anonymous no from one member who never has to explain himself, and you're rejected. Acceptance has to be unanimous. You can be wealthy, accomplished, connected, and one man who finds you unworthy, for a reason he'll never say out loud, ends it. That's how you rise to the very first rung. Someone has to want you in. Everyone has to. This is the threshold of the Blue Lodge, the foundation every Master Mason completes before any higher degree is even possible. The degree you're taking is the lowest rung, and the most important, because it sets the pattern for all of them. You came in hoodwinked, blind. And at the climax, the blindfold comes off. The first thing your eyes adjust to is light, and a room full of men who are, suddenly, your brothers. From darkness to light, the literal staging of the ritual. So what actually happens to you? You take an obligation, an oath never to reveal the secrets of the craft. And this is where the myth machine has had its richest meal. According to the disclosed accounts, the oath carries a penalty, dramatic, medieval, deliberately frightening language about the throat and the tongue. Here's the discipline to hold on to. Those penalties are symbolic. No lodge enforces them. They survive because ritual is theater, and theater needs stakes. You're meant to feel the weight of a promise, not fear a punishment. You're handed the working tools of an apprentice, a stonemason's tools, because that's the whole conceit. This is speculative masonry, descended from the real medieval guilds who built the cathedrals and guarded their trade secrets behind exactly this kind of initiation. And that's where the name hides its first secret, Freemason. The likeliest origin is the simplest. These were the Freemasons. Skilled enough to travel between cathedrals and work where they chose, in a century when almost everyone else was bound to one piece of land, one lord for life. The skill bought the freedom. The tools don't cut stone anymore, they cut you into shape. You are the stone now, and you're given a secret, a word and a grip, a handshake that proves you're an entered apprentice to any Mason in the world without either of you saying a public word. I'm not going to hand you the word, not because I'm sworn, I'm not, but because the word was never the point. Every degree has its own, rationed out one level at a time. An entered apprentice does not know what a fellow craft knows, and the only way to learn it is to keep going. You just took the first degree. You can see now, and the first thing they've taught you is that there's a second door. Level 2, the Fellowcraft. You're back at the door. Different night, different password, because the word you learned last time only opens the first door, and you're standing at the second. This is the Fellowcraft degree, and its entire architecture is a staircase. In the ritual, you climb a winding stair to reach the middle chamber, there to receive your wages. You climb blind to the turn, because a winding stair hides its top. You can't see where it ends, only the next step. That's the lesson, built into the geometry. The wages aren't money, corn, wine, and oil, symbolic payment. And the tools change. As an apprentice, you shaped the rough stone. Now you're handed the plumb, the square, and the level. Testing instruments. The plumb for uprightness, the square for morality, the level for the reminder that every person stands equal before time. Then there's the letter. If you've ever seen the Masonic symbol, the square and compasses, you've seen a letter G in the middle of it, and wondered. Here's the answer. It stands for geometry, the science the old Masons revered as the key to the universe, and at the same time, for God, the supreme architect. Two meanings, one letter. That's the second door, closed behind you. One door left in the Blue Lodge, and it's the one with a body behind it. Level 3, the Master Mason. This time, they tell you that you're going to die. Not really, but in the drama you're about to perform, you don't play yourself. You play a man named Hiram Abiff, the master architect of King Solomon's temple. And you already know, walking in, how the story ends, with his murder. They've cast you as the corpse. Here's the story the degree enacts, and it's the dramatic heart of all of Freemasonry. Hiram Abiff is the master of the works, the one man holding the master's word, the secret the craftsman will earn when the temple is done. As the work nears completion, 3 workmen ambush him. Each demands the word. Each time, he refuses. Each strikes him with a tool. The first 2 wound him, the third kills him. He dies holding the secret. And that's the point of the whole thing, integrity, past the point of self-preservation. The conspiracy crowd hears a secret worth dying for and imagines something monstrous. The real moral is almost embarrassingly wholesome. Keep your word, even when keeping it costs you everything. So now you're on the floor. You're the body. The brothers search and find you and try to raise you. The first grip fails. The second grip fails. And then the master takes a stronger hold and lifts you. And as you come up, the blindfold comes off. And you're standing in the light again. Raised, in the ritual's words, from a figurative death. And here's where I keep the promise I made you at the start. The exact words spoken over that grave, the substitute word, given when the real one is lost, come to us mostly through hostile exposés, men who published the rituals 2 centuries ago to destroy the fraternity. Real documents, but contested, and they vary by jurisdiction. So I'll tell you a substitute word is given, that the secret is, in the story, lost and needs recovering, without pretending I can hand you the one true script. And the fact that the word is lost is the genuinely interesting part. Even inside the myth, the Masons are searching for something they admit they don't have. That's the Blue Lodge. 3 degrees. Apprentice, Fellowcraft, Master Mason. And here's what almost nobody outside the fraternity knows. For most Masons, this is the end. The 3rd degree is the summit. Millions of members never go one step further. So why are there 30 more? Because past this door, the fraternity splits, and one of those paths ends at a number you already associate with the conspiracy, the 33rd. We're going there. But first, level 4, the secret master. You stood in the light. You expect the door above you to lead up, to more, to the real inner circle the stories promised. So you open it, and there's no up. The path forward splits. There's a separate track called the York Rite, real, but it doesn't climb in numbers, so you take the other, the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite. And the rule you assumed is wrong. These degrees don't outrank you. A 32nd degree Mason gives no orders to a 3rd degree Mason. He hasn't risen above him, he's just sat through more plays. Because that's what waits behind this door. Not power, theater, dramas in costume, each teaching a lesson and handing you nothing you can use over another man. This is the U.S. Southern Jurisdiction. That new title, Secret Master, is the 4th degree, the doorway into the first room. The Lodge of Perfection, 11 degrees, the 4th through the 14th, the ones called Ineffable. And as you sit through them, the strangest feeling sets in. You came looking for the top, and ritual is telling you, gently, there isn't one. 33 was never 33 rungs. Level 5, the Night of the Rose Croix. The second room asks you to wear the name that launched 1,000 conspiracies. The chapter of Rose Croix, 15 through 18, and at the top of it, you're named a Knight of the Rose Croix. Rose Cross, Rosicrucian. the exact word the theorists point to and say, "There, that's the proof." And inside, the symbolism does turn mystical. Renewal, tolerance, light. Then you realize what you're actually being taught. Not magic. Citizenship. Free thought, free government, free education. The most occult-sounding room in the building is teaching you to be a better Enlightenment citizen. The costume is mysticism. The lesson is civics. Level 6. The Night Kadosh. The third room is the largest, and the one the conspiracy videos screenshot. The Council of Kadosh, 19 through 30, and its capstone gives you the most ominous title in the whole order. Night Kadosh. Imagery so heavy that hostile writers cropped a few frames and sold them as proof Masonry was anti-Christian. Or worse. But you're standing inside it now, so you can see what they couldn't. Morality plays about justice and conviction. The drama is the delivery. The content is philosophy in a cape. And you're starting to understand the real trick of this whole ladder. Every room looks like the secret, and every room turns out to be a lesson. So you keep opening doors, because surely one of them is the real one. Level 7. The Sublime Prince of the Royal Secret. The fourth room, the last one before the number. The Consistory, 31 and 32. Reach the 32nd and you carry that title. Sublime Prince of the Royal Secret. It sounds like it belongs to a secret king. It's the rank those nation founders held. And here, finally, is the top of everything you can choose, study, petition, or earn. 32. That's the ceiling. Which leaves one number unaccounted for. The one on the ring. In every thumbnail, every documentary, every late-night theory. The 33rd. You've climbed as high as climbing goes, so how does anyone reach it? They don't. And the answer is the exact opposite of everything you were promised. Right after this. Level 8, the Sovereign Grand Inspector General. Except, you don't reach this one the way you reached the others. You cannot apply for the 33rd degree. You cannot study for it. You cannot climb to it. There is no 33rd step. The 33rd degree is honorary. That title, Sovereign Grand Inspector General, is conferred by the Supreme Council by invitation only on 32nd degree Masons in recognition of distinguished service. To the fraternity, or in public life, you cannot ask for it. It is given. Sit with how completely that dismantles the myth. The whole conspiracy architecture rests on the image of sinister men ascending towards some 33rd level inner sanctum where the real power lives. But you don't ascend to the 33rd. Someone taps you on the shoulder, late in a life of service, and hands it to you as a thank you. It's closer to a Lifetime Achievement Award than a throne. Is there a Supreme Council? Yes. Is it secretive, grand, dressed in the language of sovereignty? Absolutely. Does it run the world? It runs a charitable fraternal organization, holds meetings, and gives out an honor. The mystique is real, the cabal is not. So here's the door, open, and here's what's behind the most feared society on earth. Not a hand on the world's controls, a fraternity, descended from the men who actually cut the stone for the cathedrals, who, when there were no more cathedrals, kept the rituals and turned them on themselves. They stopped building churches and started building men. And the influence is real, more interesting than the fantasy because it's true. The ideas these men carried out of the lodge, reason, tolerance, the equality of men before something larger, turned up in the founding documents of nations, not as a plot, as a worldview walking out the door in the minds of the men who held it. That's the thing the conspiracy never understood. It went looking for a hand on the controls and missed the real machine. A 300-year-old engine for taking an ordinary man, blindfolding him, frightening him, teaching him, and handing him back to the world slightly rebuilt. No throne at the top, just the work. One man at a time. They told you the truth was darker than you think. They were wrong. The truth is stranger, because the darkest door in the world opens onto a room full of men trying, a little awkwardly, to be better. You came in of your own free will. Now you can see. The thing about hidden systems is that the secret is almost never the one you were told to look for. We take one apart every week. There's another door waiting. It always is.